Don't even think about it. We will build the wall. Don't even think about it. Our southern border will be protected always. It will have the wall. Drugs will stop pouring in and poisoning our youth. And that will happen very, very soon.
All right, that was President Trump in Nashville earlier this week, promising to secure the southern border and finally build the wall. Meanwhile, President Trump's proposed budget takes aim at sanctuary cities. The LA Times described this budgetary proposal. They wrote, quote, Trump wants to slash $210 million in federal reimbursements to state and local jails that hold illegal immigrants convicted of crimes while in the country illegally. Joining us now with reaction, author of Cop Under Fire, moving beyond hashtags of race, crime, and politics for a better America. Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark, Fox News correspondent at large, Geraldo Rivera. Geraldo, you and I go back and forth on this, and, you know, every time I point out to you, I sat there with all these local law enforcement guys in Texas, and there was 642,000 crimes in a 7-year period committed against Texans alone, including rape, including murder, including drugs, including kidnapping. I mean, to me, this is now common sense. I really, you like to say you're a common sense guy. Isn't that common sense?
First of all, let's start on a happier note. I wore this green tie in honor of you, my Irish brother from another mother. And Sheriff Clark, nice to see you. I think that, and you and I have discussed this, the issue of sanctuary cities, funding, defunding, and so forth, will be where the rubber hits the road, the fight between red and blue, the fight between left and right. I think that this, once the Obamacare stuff is sorted out, the Russian stuff is sorted out, this will be the issue, I think, that preoccupies the conflict between the two sides.
All right, then let me ask you as a lawyer. You're a lawyer.
Right.
We have a rule of law. So if cities are defying the rule of law, shouldn't there be some consequences for that? Isn't that called aiding and abetting?
That's an excellent point. But just yesterday, though, the Chief Justice of the California courts wrote to Attorney General Sessions and DHS Secretary General Kelly and told them to keep the ICE agents out of the California courts. California does not appreciate. I foresee not only legal conflict, Sean, but I foresee conflict between, imagine a state or local cop facing an ICE agent and the cop saying to the ICE agent, you shouldn't be in here. You know, this is a courtroom. We don't want you. I see the potential for conflict. I think everyone's got to cool it
You may be very well right. You probably actually are. And Sheriff Clark, that's a problem, though, because this is now a breakdown in civil society, and it becomes lawlessness when you have states or municipalities deciding which laws they want to obey and which laws they refuse to obey, and they're willing to aid and abet criminals.
First of all, happy St. Patrick's Day, Sean. But
We're
you're
all
right.
Irish
There's
today.
a lot of posturing. There's a lot of posturing going on right now, but I think in the end, cooler heads will prevail. Is there anybody who thinks that Donald Trump is not serious about building this wall, sealing that border for real, to stop the flow of illegal immigrants into this country, the drugs, the weapons, so on and so forth, the criminal gangs, the cartels? He is going to get this done. I know he is. And I'm going to help him do it as it relates to Milwaukee, which is why I sent a letter of intent last week to the acting director of ICE asking to be certified to participate in the 287G program, which will give, after training and some other certification, will give my deputies and corrections officers in the jail the authority, after they're deputized as U.S. Marshals, the authority to enforce immigration. What we're talking about here, and I want to make this clear, and, you know, it sounds like my good friend Geraldo starting to soften a little bit on this, and that's a good thing. We're talking about, and in my case, criminal illegal aliens. We are not talking about doing home raids and business raids to look for people in the country illegally. We are going to identify people who've been convicted of serious crimes in this country and schedule them for deportation. That's not extreme. That's reasonable. And anybody who is not for that is advocating for criminal behavior, because sanctuary cities provide a safe haven for criminal activity and criminal illegal aliens.
I totally disagree with that because nothing prevents cops from enforcing the law. If someone commits a crime, they get arrested. What this is all about is whether that cop now has to hold the person they arrest after their sentence is served or they've been acquitted. Just hold them for a federal immigration hold. If the over 350 municipalities and states have said, no, we're not going to do this. We are not immigration officials. We refuse to cooperate. This is not about law enforcement. This is only about whether county or municipal cops are also, federal deputies, in essence, enforcing immigration law. That's apart from the criminal law, which, of course, they have to enforce.
All right, last word, Sheriff.
I agree, and they can't. Well, they can't make local jails and sheriffs and chiefs hold these individuals. They're asking for some cooperation in assisting them in doing that, and I don't think that's a big thing to do. Had the San Francisco jail area held on to the guy that killed Kate Steinle, she'd be alive today. So what President Trump has made it clear, the catch and release days are over. That's what we're talking about. You're right, Geraldo. They can't force the jails to do it, but there'll be some penalties. And when you talk about the type of dollars we're talking about, that's going to leave some huge gaps in some of this local funding. And eventually, they're going to start to do the right thing.
Now, President Trump and Chancellor Merkel, they capped off their first visit earlier today by holding a joint press conference, and President Trump made very clear where we stand on protecting this country. Watch this.
Our two countries must continue to work together to protect our people from radical Islamic terrorism and to defeat ISIS. I applaud Chancellor Merkel for Germany's contributions, both civilian and military, as a counter-ISIS coalition member. We also recognize that immigration security is national security. We must protect our citizens from those who seek to spread terrorism, extremism, and violence inside our borders. Immigration is a privilege, not a right, and the safety of our citizens must always come first.
Now, we've been covering in depth on this show how President Trump has promised to do everything within his power to stop radical Islamic terrorists from entering this country and putting you, the American people, in danger. Now, he plans on doing that in part by enacting extreme vetting of refugees. However, as we told you last night, the alt-radical obstructionist left here in America is trying to stop the president, and by doing so, they are showing that they are perfectly willing to gamble with your lives, the lives of the American people. At this point, in my opinion, the left here at home, they want to copy Germany and Europe's practice of letting waves of unchecked refugees pour into their countries. But tonight, the alt-radical left, they may want to think twice about this, and we'll show you exactly why. Now, here at home, we've seen an increase in radical Islamist attacks. Top officials have repeatedly warned that ISIS can, in fact, infiltrate the refugee population. And according to the FBI, there are 1,000 active ISIS-related cases right now in all 50 states. And earlier this month, the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, revealed this shocking statistic about these ongoing investigations. Take a look.
Today, more than 300 people, according to the FBI, who came here as refugees are under an FBI investigation today for potential terrorism-related activities.
And in Europe, it's become far worse and more violent. Now, the continent has become the epicenter of terrorist attacks against the West. Now, since 2014, Europe has taken in over 3 million refugees and asylum seekers. Germany has led the way in Western Europe by accepting nearly 900,000 refugees in 2015 alone. Last month, Germany's Domestic Security and Intelligence Agency, the BFV, said the number of radical Islamists in the country has grown considerably, rising from just 100 in 2013 to almost 1,600 this year. And what we've seen is devastating and brutally violent attacks. Now, in November 2015, radical Islamists, they launched a series of attacks in Paris targeting a stadium, a cafe, a concert hall, where they slaughtered 130 people and wounded hundreds of others. And then in March of 2016, explosions at the airport and a metro station rocked the city of Brussels. On that case, 34 killed and that's 34 innocent travelers, including Americans, 150 injured. And a few months later, in the city of Nice in France, during the French National Day, a truck attack killed 84 people, including 10 children. More than 200 others are injured. And days before Christmas in 2016, in Berlin, Germany, an Islamist plowed a truck into a crowded Christmas market, 12 dead and 50 more injured. Here's the bottom line here. Liberals in this country can continue to be naive, have a pre-9/11 mindset with the hopes that another major attack is not going to happen. They can hope, they can pray, or we should be smart and vigilant and fully aware of all these dangers we face and allow President Trump to harden the policies and procedures so we can keep all of you and all of America and all of our children safe.